Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the World Center of Racing. Tonight at the virtual Daytona International Speedway, the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series back live on LSRTV for the iSuperDuel at Daytona as we get set to set the grid for the biggest race on the year, the official season opener in 1 week's time for the iSuperSpeedway 500. We're glad to have you with us, as always, on LSRTV for part 2 of our Friday night doubleheader. Just saw the conclusion of the Rod Car Truck Tour from Atlanta, and now it's time for the big boys to get out on a 2.5-mile super speedway. We welcome you into the LSRTV booth, as always, alongside myself this evening, Devin Pasoko, Andy Kessler, and our driver analyst for the evening is Jared Haggerty. Guys, welcome to the booth. Jared, you were just out on the racetrack, an interesting race from Atlanta. Now up to call the main event, I guess, if you will, tonight with the Super Speedway Series. But Andy, I'll turn to you first. Interesting thing about tonight is that although the season doesn't officially start till next week, they are earning points tonight. The big thing is, though, starting position for next week's race.
Yeah, so one can argue that starting position really doesn't at a big track like this. In theory, it does. You want to start with your speed. You want to show your muscle as a group, as a team. Maybe you and your teammates are going to hook up and draft each other to the win here. And also, every time you hit the track, you're going for a win. You're not riding around to finish last. So anytime you hit the track, any type of race, you're always going for the win. It always means something to somebody. And whether it's a qualifying race or not, whether it's setting the field in the big shows next week, these races still mean something to these guys.
And with that, we look towards the format for tonight's race here. 2 sets of 40 laps. You got half the drivers here and half the drivers in the other one that's going to be coming up right after the checkered flies tonight.
122 cars in each of these Super Duels tonight, so it's going to make for a very interesting race. Right now, you see there you got the number 88 Hanrick Chevrolet of Mark Jorgensen Jr. On the pole with a 47.883. Rounding up behind him, Paul Servant, a person we haven't really talked much about this season. Paul Servant, he was pretty much a low runner and didn't do much last season, but he's up there in the second position, and maybe he's looking to start this season off right, Evan.
Certainly doing so right now, second on the provisional qualifying charts in a 5-minute solo car, 1-lap closed qualifier session that these drivers are currently working down to the end of just about a minute and a half before we do get this race underway. If you were with us 1 week ago, you tuned into the iSuperSpeedway Shootout, the ISSRS equivalency of the Sprint Unlimited. Rod Flag took home the first checkered flag on the Season 5 championship, if you will, at the leading 25 laps. He won that one over Dane Osborne, Mark Jorgensen Jr., Ryan Pyland, and Josh Ball. Fittest up inside the top 5 in that one. But again, interesting tonight is that if you look at the schedule for this championship, and if you were with us 1 season ago, you tuned in, you'll know 13 races of the regular season, and before we go to the iSuper Chase, and at that point it is all bets are off. So win and you're in is the biggest thing that is on everybody's mind coming into this as well. But you take a look as that the season has not officially started, at least to this extent, but this iSuperDuel right now in a position where this race is going to count for points and whatnot, not though to lock yourself into that chase with a win. So maybe an R&D session to an extent, Andy, but half the field, 40-lap races, means that this race should be relatively clean, and maybe the lower number of cars will allow some of those team cars to have some more room to kind of navigate the racetrack together, see what they can do when they're working together.
Yeah, we should see a lot of the guys, a lot of teammates hooking up early, maybe, purposely coming down pit road, things like that, if we do have a caution, just to get gathered up, just to get grouped together, to use this as a practice. I talked about a moment ago. I mean, a race is a race. You still want to go out there and win, but the overall picture's got to be on next week's race in the season opener. So you got to use this time wisely. These 40 laps, they do mean something, and it's a chance to work together with your teammate and see what you can do and see if you have anything for these guys next week.
Let's get some points on the board. The grid is set. Qualifying has come down to a close, and we'll give you the LSRTV starting grid for the first iSuperDuel at Daytona. We're glad to have you with us on LSRTV for this presentation of the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series. Pole is going to stick right in the hands of that 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. That 47.883 going to be enough to put that Chevrolet on the top of the board for this one. Alongside him, as well as noted, Paul Servants, number 85, will sit shotgun on the front row. He'll start in second.
Starting third tonight, rolling off in that number 26 car, Rod Flag, and to his outside, in the number 4 starting spots, the number 8 of Dana Osborne.
Number 71, the rookie that we saw do so good last week, Christian Peterson, will be starting 5th with a 47.906. And to his outside is going to be the number 32, one of the runners-up to last year's championship of Seth DeMerchant. He is going to be starting 6th.
Take a look back at row number 4, the 7th starting position. Going to be the discount tired Ford Fusion of Jeff Figlin, and defending series champion, and a guy we've spent the last couple of hours talking with up at the booth for the truck tour. It's Josh Ball's low Chevy. Well, we'll start on the outside of that row in 8th.
The Quaker State 02 car of Mitchell Reeves. He's going to start 9th, and to his outside will be the number 10, Ryan Keese.
Number 89, another rookie, Matt Quick, is going to be rolling off 11th, and the number 87 of Ray Rittenau II is going to be starting 12th.
Derek Walker will roll the 07 off in 13th position. Alongside him in 14th, going to be the 15 Aces Toyota. That's Doyle Lawrence.
Corey Henry in the 12 car. He's going to roll off 15th, while Daniel Harrington in the 82 is going to run the 16th.
Hold your line racing zone. Ramon Evans, the number 83 car, is going to be running 17th. And another rookie, the number 79 of Anthony Yankello, is going to be starting 18th.
The Kellogg's number 5 throwback paint scheme this time on board the Hendrick Motorsports number 5 of Tanner Mann in 19th and 20th. Truck Series winner from 1 week ago, and a driver that came home in 4th in the iSuper Shootout just 1 week prior right here at Daytona. That's the 41 Ryan Pyland in 20th.
The 96 Oakley machine will be starting 21st. That's Chad Keene, and to his outside, shotgun on the field here tonight. Rounding out this 22-car field is Jimmy Todd in the number 18.
The 22 drivers get set to do battle. It is Duel number 1 at Daytona, and it's under the lights. All part of Daytona Speed Weeks. The big story was that Rodney Watford swept Speed Weeks at the start of Season 4 a couple of months ago, earlier on in the 2015 racing season. He won the iSuper Speedway Shootout, he won his Duel, and he won the 500 the week following. So if Rod Flag wants to sweep it, he's got to get going, and he's starting in 3rd tonight after winning the iSuper Speedway Shootout just 1 week ago. 22 now, we'll have 22 later. Everything that rides on the line is not only are we starting to accumulate points already, and by the way, that if we don't have 10 different winners in the year, points will be one of the final deciding factors to set the chase grid, which means that even this early, even before the season really starts until next week of the 500, this could be some championship deciding stuff. The base car is down and away. We're glad to have you with us on LSRTV. Green flag flies, and we're underway from Daytona. 22 strong across the start-finish line. The iSuper Duel Race 1 is green, and it's the 88 of Jorgensen Jr. on the inside of the racetrack. Deadlock the Servant up top.
Side by side all the way back through this field as they head into turn number 1. Looks like Jorgensen's actually going to pull ahead now with help from Rod Flag. The two of them together combined, pushing each other off turn number 2. Not going to have the outside line clear, but they're making headway down the back straightaway.
Inside with an advantage by 1 car length. The outside going to gain some momentum down the back straightaway, but not going to be enough. It's still the inside by 1 car length down to corner number 3. And all these drivers going to get off the gas. They can't stay locked on the bumper as they go through 3 and 4.
No, these cars definitely need to get going on the outside, as Christian Peterson actually is going to say, hey, let's go to the lead, as he jumps there on the outside, and he's going to try to make a move. Unfortunately for him, number 85 of Paul Servant was not close enough, and he didn't even have a run. But right now it looks like going off into 1 and 2, he's going to have a run. And he's not pushing him just yet, but he is just close enough. They're going to have a big run coming off down the back stretch. And here comes Christian Peterson down to the lead as they go down into turn number 3.
It was a gutsy move to jump out of the inside lane, go back up to the outside of the racetrack. It looks like, though, it might be the right call. Peterson gets nose to tail now at the 88 of Jorgensen Jr., though, not going to be able to get clear, and he'll fall back half the car length down through quarters 3 and 4. Again, they can't get hooked up in the quarter, Andy. What these guys are trying to do is try to pace themselves and hopefully get to the back bumper of the car in front of him just as they come off the corner. So once they're allowed to push down those straightaways, they're already hooked up, and that's one way you'll see these guys start to make up headway. But the outside lane has the speed when they have the support right now. So far, though, the majority of the cars down low, only 4 drivers up top, and you can see they're struggling to keep pace. Still there, though, side by side for second.
Still side by side for second. The top line now making some ground here. Christian Peterson, he's got to run on the outside as the 85 of Paul Servant has to back off there as we get him jumbled up here in the back for about 8th place now. The 10 car, he's having some issues.
Yeah, I can actually answer what happened there. It looks like the number 30 car, the car besides that much, I can't tell who that is, but it's the number 89 of Matthew Quick. He actually blinked, and the number 10 was inside his car, literally, so he could not do anything or go anywhere. So unfortunately, Matthew Quick having some connection issues, the iRacing equivalent of a mechanical failure, and we'll keep an eye on that as this field is actually separated now. The top 7 have actually broken away from this pack here, and they're going to try to make it even stronger, but side by side is not what you want to do if you're trying to pull away from somebody.
And typically when we see guys start to get spread out, it's because of the fact that, okay, they get single file, but that top 7 had that little bit of a gap that you were talking about. Not anymore, though, because that inside opened up a big hole in the air. The 89 going to take no objection to following that through, and Matt Quick comes up behind. He'll get right on the back bumper. The 02 Mitchell Reeves and slot into 8th, and now make it once again one big pack. The top 19 cars within 1.5 seconds of each other on lap number 5. But the outside, again, they're starting to slowly lose support as Christian Peterson finally gets clear. The 71 ducks to the bottom of the racetrack down in 1 and 2. And now down the Daytona super stretch to corner number 3. He's your race leader. And the outside with only 2 drivers leaves the Paul Servant and the 8 car Dana Osborne out to drive.
He's about to dry now. They're starting to fall back just a bit right now. They're side by side. That's for the Ford spot. That's the number 6 of Jeff Figlin. He's on the inside. The outside line just not able to hook up right now. Not enough support like you talked about. Just those 2 cars. They're not going to make any headway right now. As you see this 96. Now here comes some help right now as Chad Keene moved up to the outside. He's going to get in line there. We'll see this top line now start to maybe make some ground up now. But these leaders right now, top 5, single file.
The outside may have some support coming. The 02 to the outside of the racetrack. So Mitchell Reeves going to jump up in front of the 85. That's going to check up the outside momentarily, but the big win is that it gives them some more support. Joining on to the back of the 85 and the 8 who were left out there after sliding back to about 7. We got the 96 of Chad Keene. Started this race in 21st. That Oakley Chevy, Jared really moving up now into the top 10.
Yeah, I've been watching him. He's been making some really good moves and being a very, very smart and conservative. But right now, he's moving his way through the field just like he needs to do. But right now, actually, I'm sorry, but we have a battle for the lead. Mark Jorgensen went high there at turn number 2 and got a big run on Christian Peterson. He's got a huge run down the backstretch. Can he get him going into 3? He will. Mark Jorgensen Jr. to the lead.
And I'll call it a Brandon Chiburko pass. He takes the Chevrolet SS Writing off of the front of the 71, stripped that decal right off of the nose of Christian Peterson. Not an inch to spare, but clear nonetheless. Drops down to the inside, and he'll take over the race lead. And again, just like that, the outside got help. They're flying, and that 02 of Mitchell Reeves, who is about 7th on the racetrack, jumps up top. Now that Quaker State Chevy leads the outside charge in 3rd. It'll take them maybe half a lap to get some momentum back, but they have the support to be able to continue the challenge. And right now, everybody playing nice for the most part. How about that? The 71 goes up to the middle. The 02 wants to leave him hanging and said he'll be the one that gets left.
He is. Now the 02. Michael Reeves went to make a move, went 3 wide. Now he's stuck on the outside. Everybody's going to freight train him now. Double file all below him. He's got a spot to move down in below. It doesn't look like he's going to take that chance now as the lead is heating up once again as the 85 of Paul Servant. He's all over Peterson as they head back down into turn number 1.
Can the 71 get clear right back at the 88? Not quite. It was close, and that very fluid situation on the outside of the racetrack continues to shuffle things up. Just like that, though, ever so quickly after leading this race and getting close to challenging on the outside, the car that we saw jump to the high side and get left now all the way to the back, really, of that lead group. That's that 0-2 that we've been talking about for quite some time now. Mitchell Reeves goes from second to right now looks like he'll be back behind the 5 car in 17th position. It's a calculated risk. The 71 gets a shot at a quarter 4 from the 85. That'll do it for him.
Wow, that was close again. Once again, these guys are just almost dropping out in front of that leader right there. Servant, he's just basically jump up in front of him, he'll push it to the lead, and he's getting left to dry. Nobody wants to stay out there with him.
I feel like that's something that we saw a lot last season as well, as that 85 of Paul Servant didn't have the large numbers as far as the top 5s in the win category was concerned for the Oreo Chevy, but he's a very good pusher, and sometimes you don't want to make enemies out of the racetrack, because if you leave somebody to dry, this is, although we can talk about how teams can be a big importance and you really need to work with somebody, work together to be able to make headway, if you don't make a friend and at some point you're going to tick somebody off, they're not going to help you, and that can hurt you later on. I'll tell you what, everybody probably owes Paul Servant something at this point, and he continues to lead the outside charge, but I don't feel like he'll get to the front row as the lead car. Take a look for a guy like a 26 Rod Flag, or even Jorgensen, who showed a couple of times tonight that he's not afraid to jump out. Rod Flag is going to do it. That's that Cheerios Ford Fusion. He'll go, and once again, the 85 stuck as a pusher.
Yeah, the 85, unfortunately, he's going to be stuck as a pusher once again. I mean, at some point, he's got to get a break. He's got to get a shove by Dana Osborne, or even that 32 of Seth the Merchant. We know him to be a great pusher, so maybe he can... Oh, we got trouble! Trouble! Number 96 of Chad Keene slams into the number 89 of Matthew Quick, and that brings out the caution going through the tri-oval.
It was contact heading into it, and a big melee right there just outside of the top 5 will bring out the first caution in the iSuperDuel at Daytona, and it was big junk. Andy Kessler, that 96 machine on the inside of the racetrack, looked like he maybe pushed up a little bit. The 83 came down, evidently not expecting him to be there. Those 2 cars ended up in the fence, and when Chad came back down the racetrack, the 89 almost blows over. You got the 5 involved, the 2, the 10, the 15, the 79 as well. Big, big mess down through the tri-oval, and 12 laps in, we see the first caution flag of this race.
We do. It looks like the 83, 96 came up, 83 came down. It looks like they were trying to get some side draft going, and it just got too close. That's all that happened. Got too close, got into each other, and then the rest is history, especially going this fast with these guys that close.
And that side draft is something that we always talk about, because for the most part, they like to play it a little bit easy, as far as you'll see maybe a car length, half a car length in between these guys as far as inside lane and the outside lane early on. But once this race gets down to the latter stages, they are going to be all over each other's door, and that's a completely different ball game. Pit lane going to get some action this time by race leader Christian Peterson comes down. It looks like Paul Servant and as well one other driver, Dana Osborne, going to be the only 2 to stay out.
Yeah, they're going to be the ones to stay out, but I don't know about that pit strategy, because you're going to have to pit at least one time during this race. As Christian Peterson, everybody's down the way, he actually might have beat Jorgensen off there. I couldn't tell from this camera angle, but I think Peterson actually beat him off a pit lane there.
Talk about a close call. That 88 machine had the upper hand with that number 1 pit stall, and he just didn't get on the gas a lot. And it was real close at the line, but getting up on the accelerator, the 71 beat him out of pit road, and that could be big, because that'll put you, as opposed to being on the inside, on the outside, or vice versa, that one spot. And at Daytona, we've shown that if you're on the bottom, that's where you cruise. If you're on the top, that's where you try to make some progress. So good move by Christian Peterson to be able to retain that top spot at a pit lane by squeaking the 88 out. However, he'll fall to at least 3rd on the racetrack as those 2 cars in front stayed out.
Yeah, 3rd's not a bad spot to be either, like on that inside line on the beginning of this race. But Paul Servant making the choice to stay out there. The only thing I can think of is that he must not have felt that they could make it from here to the end. So he knew that he's going to have to pit, but so is somebody else. So I believe he maybe made a little gamble there with the 8, but no, it looks like actually they're going to come down pit road this time.
So they'll stay out, go to the front, and then stay out, come back down together, and they'll go to the back of the field. So both the number 85 down to the pit lane as well as that 71. So those guys going to go up to the front of the field. Paul Servant is going to be credited with leading the lap, so he'll get a bonus point out of it. Again, did mention that this is the first race where bonus points are a factor. So Paul Servant going to be able to get that, and now he'll come down pit road, get service, go back to the back of the pack. Meanwhile, the drivers that had the biggest issues in all of that, Anthony Ancallo, the 79, currently sits 1 lap down on pit road, heavily damaged. Doyle Lawrence as well has scored 1 lap down. His night may be done also.
Yeah, I feel really bad for both those guys. They're both rookies in this league. And speaking of rookies, we actually had probably the biggest recruiting class that this league has ever had. We had, I believe, 15-plus rookies sign up to come into this league this year, and we have 6 running currently in this league or in this race right now. You got the 15 of Doyle Lawrence and Anthony Ancallo. Unfortunately, have not had the best start, but then you have people like the number 71, Christian Peterson, a rookie. His first race in the series was last week, and he has just shown that he can run with all these big boys, especially some of the guys who've been competing for the last few years for a championship, and he's actually beating last year's champion, Josh Ball, right now, who currently runs in 7th, I believe. Evan?
And Josh Ball right now 7th after starting this race in 8th position. So for the biggest mover, Ryan Pyland started in 20th, and he'll find himself into the 9th position right now, running under the caution flag 14 laps in. The lights of the pace car may be going off this time by the start-finish line to get us set for the first restart on the evening as we continue to work under our first caution flag so far during this first of 2 iSuperDuels on LSRTV. LSRTV's coverage of the iSuperspeedway.com racing series is presented tonight in part by Lions Club International. When it comes to meeting challenges, Lions' response is simple. We serve with more than 1.4 million members in over 200 countries, in hospitals and senior centers in regions battered by natural disaster. Work helping, leading, planning, and supporting is what the Lions are doing in their community. Because we're local, we can serve the unique needs of communities we live in, and because we're global, we can address the challenges that go beyond borders. Go to b-a-lion.org to find out more. Another proud partner of LSRTV. The lights do go off at a pace car, guys, so this restart going to be coming up. 25 laps to go. It's about the distance of one of these really, really short B mains, or rather one of the longer B mains, one of the really, really short A mains that we'll see a little bit later on in the season as this race progresses. Sitting right now with 19 of 21 drivers still on the lead lap, and with 25 to go and 15 down, guys. I'll start with you, Andy, first. Who you liking so far?
Well, I've seen a lot of fast guys right now. The 88, 71, they've had a great battle up front. But I want to see the 85 do something special here. He's working that outside. He's giving everybody a push. But like you said earlier, he needs a little bit of help himself. So we'll see if that can happen here as this race goes on.
Yeah, my pick is actually gonna be reminiscent of last week. I'm gonna pick the number 26, a Rod Flag. I think he has the car to do it, and I think he's gonna sweep this week as well.
Well, let's see how this one shakes her down. 25 laps to go, still a long way, and still a lot could happen to set the inside row for the iSuperspeedway 500 next week. The pace car down and away to the safety of pit road. Christian Peterson back in control. Green flag flies, and we're back underway at Daytona. 71 small advantage at the start-finish line, going to give the inside a little bit of a pull down to corner number 1 for the first time. Everybody's still 2 abreast to 1.
The Merchant trying to get Peterson to get out ahead of this 88 car. Rod Flag, though, he's not having anything of it. He's giving Jorgensen a run for his money as he pushes him on that outside line. Here comes the momentum on the outside line down the back straightaway. The 71 of Peterson, though, still has a full car length now. He's advantage over that outside line, and now Seth the Merchant's really giving him a push right before they head into turn number 3.
Got to make everything you can out of that allotted area where you're allowed to push, and going into the quarter, the final bit that you can do it, it gives a huge advantage to the inside of the racetrack because Seth the Merchant, he'll be able to slide up to second. That 48 still behind him. Josh Ball, a little bit of a throwback low Chevy, and then that 02 behind him of Mitchell Reeves. Inside to the good by 4 car lengths. Issue is, those guys second, third, and fourth have been the ones that like to jump at a line. Does somebody do it this time? Ball thinking about it, not quite sure. Looks like you'll see on the bottom for now.
Well, you got to remember that Josh Ball and Mark Jorgensen Jr. there, the 48 and the 88, those are teammates. And we've talked about this many, many times. Having your teammates and being able to work together with somebody is the way to get up front. Right now, you not only, I actually just noticed this, you not only have the 48 and the 88, but you also have the 5 now creeping up there. The number 5 of Tanner Mann. We have not talked, where did he come from? We have not talked about him at all. He has actually started in the 19th position, and he's worked all the way up to 5th now. As Jorgensen continues to fall back, he's left out, hanging up to dry on the outside.
One of the lone Handerick cars we did not see in the conversation late in the Season 4 iSuper Chase. Back to get Season 5 underway, and in the right step forward, already up 14 positions. Sits the top 5 right now, and I'm sure he would love to get up to that 40 to Josh Ball, his teammate at least, try to do something with him. Meanwhile, Jorgensen, that 88, continuing to slide back after being abandoned on the outside of the racetrack. He'll get down in line behind the 96 and Chad Keene. So Jorgensen goes from the lead on the outside to 11th in line down low. Looks like he's trying to get somebody to go with him, and him and Chad Keene are scheming things, trying to get an outside lane working, but at least for now, for the first time tonight, everybody's single file in 1 and 2.
All single file in 1 and 2, but somebody wants to make things happen here. We're running out of time. I'm approaching the halfway point here in a couple laps, so now the outside line's starting to take a little bit of form. Nope, they're going to tuck back down inside. Looked like the 41 of Ryan Peelan was going to lead that charge here, but down the back straightaway, they're still single file as they head into 3.
Nobody jumping out quite yet. A couple of cars, again, continue to think about it back of the back, but 2 cars going to the outside, not going to work. You need a whole lot of them. The 41 going to hop with them, so it's Rylan Pylan to the outside. No, the 96 of Chad Keene working with Jorgensen on the outside of the racetrack. He absolutely left him, and Jorgensen said, no, wait, I kind of like going to the outside, so he'll stay with the 41. Rod Flanagan to join them as well, and that's that first set of 3 cars that you're going to see trying to get something going. That 8 machine, though, Dana Osborne just behind that. What's on the fastest lap of the race with a 44.332, flying back there in 13th, using all of that draft from the 12 cars in front of him.
Yeah, now I just noticed you got the outside line starting to come. Here comes the number 10, the rookie, Ryan Kynes. Oh, he's blinking a little bit, and that caused a big stack up. And I couldn't tell who got into the wall, but the number 96 a check, it was Jorgensen.
Oh, big trouble. Jorgensen slowing the racetrack. He just got run over. Caution flag is out, and a very strange incident. We saw Mark Jorgensen Jr. get into the outside wall after contact with the number 96. It looked like that it was Chad Keene who just drifted up the racetrack the slightest bit. Did that to follow the line of Karsten DeJohn Tomaso in front of him. Slides up, gets into the 88. You'll see the replay right now. 96 hangs on, and then Jorgensen is slow out of the corner, and I'm not sure how these 2 cars could not avoid each other, guys, but single file, the 88 got sideways. He saw the 83 coming up behind him. I think he tried to go low to get out of his way. 83 ducked high, and they just found each other into the trial. A very strange incident. Puts out the caution flag.
That was quite strange. It looked like Jorgensen, he wanted that outside lane to work. We heard a little bit on the race chatter. He wanted to get things going. He gets out there. They make a little contact with the 96 of Chad Keene, and that was all she wrote. Got him up into the wall, and he must have cut down a tire or something like that, because he lost it pretty, it looked pretty, I don't know, it looked pretty bad the way he just lost it right there in front of the 83 coming to the stripe there. So I don't know if he lost a tire or what happened there, but he was coming down to the bottom of the track, and the thing just snapped up towards the wall.
Well, actually, that all started with the number 10 of Ryan Keiss, one of the rookies here in this season. He actually started blinking throughout the middle of 4, and that's what caused the big stack up in the first place. And Chad Keene was just trying to get out of the way and not run over Ryan and cause a big incident, but unfortunately, when he went high to avoid him, Jorgensen was already right there.
And with that, we crossed the halfway point in this first duel at Daytona. We'll step away for just a brief moment and take a caution flag of our own on LSRTV. Take a quick commercial break. You're watching the iSuperspeedway.com racing series, iSuperDuel at Daytona. It's Christian Peterson who leads at halfway.
Did you know the lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
Maybe.
Back live at the virtual Daytona International Speedway with the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series Season 5 Championship on LSRTV. Tonight, the iSuperSpeedway.com preseason action rolls on with the iSuperDuel at Daytona. Lights back off on top of the pace car. We get set to get back underway. 15 laps remain in this first duel. And Pasoko, Andy Kessler, and Jared Haggerty up in the broadcast booth with you. Executive producer tonight, as always, Laura Lawson. Guys, first caution came with 15 down. Next one comes and will end with 15 to go. Getting closer and closer to setting the inside grid for the 500 next week.
Yes, we are. That only means tempers and aggressiveness is only going to heat up now as we close this thing out here with 15 to go at the green flag. But A lot of big guys up in front and looking to make some moves, but we had a couple guys that had some trouble there in the last one.
19 drivers on the lead lap for this restart. It is going to be again Christian Peterson in control. The pace car dives down and away. Green flag flies back underway at Daytona. The 32 is set. The Merchant, though, the mellow yellow Chevy. Great restart on the outside of the Wicked Autosport entry. He'll keep it deadlocked down to 1.
Deadlocked it is for the lead down into turn number 1. Seth the Merchant has the advantage. Not for long as here comes Christian Peterson with the help of the 48 of Josh Ball. They're going to make a move off of turn number 2. Give him the lead, the 71 that is Christian Peterson. And is the 48 Josh Ball. He's going to have him clear too. And now as the Merchant's actually falling back. He's in the clutches side by side for 3rd.
And it looked like that 71 thought about going to the outside to give the 32 those cars. Teammates with Wicked Autosport elected not to, and Peterson will stay in the lead on the bottom of the racetrack. Following him through going to be Josh Ball. Up to the outside. Does the 10 go with him, though? No. That's going to cause a little bit of a stalemate for the 48 machine up on the outside of the racetrack. He'll get a run once the Merchant gets to him, but if that 10 of Ryan Keese went with him, would have made things a whole lot better. So that 10 machine stays locked to the bottom and put Ryan Keese sliding up to 2nd after starting in 10th.
How about Ryan Keese? How about Christian Peterson? Look at this. 2 rookies going 1st and 2nd. And then you have the defending champion on the outside of Josh Ball. As Keese actually wants a piece of the lead now. He's going to be going for the lead here into 3. He might be able to get it. Josh Ball's going to be giving him a good run. Right flag's not there to push Christian Peterson so well. Here they come on the turn number 4. It's going to be Ryan Keese going for the lead, headed down to the triangle and into lap number 28. He's going to be your leader at the stripe. And
3 wide.
Get 3 wide here at the stripe. Josh Ball splits him, and he wants the lead now.
Second time tonight, we've seen somebody get left out to dry, and it's Ryan Keese who will have to jump back down in line in front of the O2. That's going to cause a checkup for the outside, and evidently it's going to hurt the 48 and the 32, who now don't have a lot of support behind them for about 6-7 car lengths. So Josh Ball showing that he's ready to be aggressive. He came to play and he came to win in that low Chevy. He leads the outside in front of Seth the Merchant. That 10 machine going to gain some momentum back, come back up, try to help him out. But right now Peterson in the comfortable spot of not really having to do a whole lot but ride. Again, if you're that 26 rod flag, unless you're jumping out of line, you're not going to make any passes by riding behind the 71. I'd be more concerned about a guy like Rod Flag at the 41 of Ryan Pyland if I were these guys, Andy, because they're sitting there and they're setting you up if you're that 71, you got to think.
Well, there's a reason Rod Flag swept all of last season. There's a reason. Whoa, he's in trouble. He almost gets in the wall right there. The 41 gets in the back of him. Everybody's going to spread out now. Now that bottom line is going to get a run. They're looking 3 wide again. That's for 4th now as Josh Ball's now on the outside and Rod Flag. He's stuck in the middle there, but he does have some help. Is there 3 wide for 7th?
Oh, running out of room. Contact the 32. Going to get pushed up the hill. Look at that. The 41, the O2. Going to follow through the middle in all of that. It's Pyland pushed by the O2 of Mitchell Reeves and Josh Ball and Seth the Merchant. The 2 that were just making it work on the outside are going way backwards. Now more contact. The O2 sideways. Mitchell Reeves bouncing off the door of the 48 and the 85. And somehow, yet again, just outside of the top 10, they hang on and live another corner.
How did they live through that? I mean, the number 12 of Corey Henry was literally sideways all the way through the corner, came down on the bottom of the apron, and somehow was able to keep the car straight. Rod Flag, they were all just bunched in there like a can of sardines. And I tell you what, that was some of the craziest driving I've seen yet in this series, as that I've been up here at the broadcast. I mean, I'm used to going on the track there, racing like that, but never have I seen something like that up here in the broadcast booth. But right now, you got the number 71 of Christian Peterson. And actually, look who's in 2nd now. You got the number 8 Coca-Cola machine of Dana Osborne right there in 2nd. He is known for giving great pushes to the lead, but he's never had anybody come and push him to the lead. Maybe he's going to go to the outside here. He does not. That's actually number 10 of Ryan Keiss is going to lead the outside charge down into 3.
And they regained, they got away with a couple of different things earlier tonight in that truck race, and now in the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series. putting him on the limit yet again. It was that 10 of Ryan Keese who was just going backwards. He got left by the 48 of Josh Ball. And Josh Ball's back in 12th right now, and Keese right now up in a top 5 spot. He was 3rd at the start finish line. The outside them again, the consistent thing they fight with is they need some help and they need some decent support that will stick there and not continue to surge and fade like this outside lane of the racetrack has done pretty much for this entire race so far. The 10 to 96 right now lead. Now that 6 car, how about that? Jeff Figlin gonna join the outside charge in that Ford Vision. Oh! Check out Ron Flagg. He'll get turned into the wall, and that car gonna go right side tires up. Caution flag is out as they wreck now. Seth the Merchant and Josh Ball are both involved.
Yeah, that was Seth the Merchant, Josh Ball involved in that. Also, you have the number 02 of Mitchell Reeves, and I can't tell who that other car is next to it. It's Daniel Harrington, the number 82 Chevrolet. What happened in that wreck, though, was that the number 26 was trying to make a move there, and the 41 actually just got him loose. It was a big stack up there, it looked like, Evan.
It all started in front when that 6 came up, checked up the outside lane, and 26 got on the brake, and he was just a sandwich in between the 41 and the 96, got turned into the fence. That was okay. Rod got up into the wall, but I don't think it would have thrown a caution. When the 41 comes back down the racetrack, though, he clips the number 87, and it's Ray Rittenauer who goes to the apron, comes back up, and the 48 and the 32, their night goes from bad to worse. After being top 5 cars, find themselves back in traffic, and they both find themselves in the wall together. They're involved in an additional incident that you mentioned, Daniel Harrington and that 02 machine involved as well. About 6-7 cars going to get really torn up down in 3 and 4. Going to put us under the 3rd caution flag of the night, and that's going to set us up on par for a late race restart here. Final one going to be coming up, and it'll be within 5 to go.
And that should be a good one, too. Christian Peterson showing that bottom line, just stick to it, stick to that yellow line. He shouldn't have any issues as long as he's got help, which most people will run that bottom line. It's going to be tough to pass him. It's going to have to be a last lap pass for these guys. But one more restart, that's what he's going to have to do to hold off these guys from getting his first win.
Drivers off at a lead lap at this stage in the race. Ray Rittenauer, the second, is 17th. He's 1 lap down. 18th, 1 lap down, the 48 of Josh Ball. Dan Harrington's 1 lap down in the 82 machine. And then Ramon Evans, 11 laps down. Still on pit road, but out of this race, Doyle Lawrence, the only driver to officially retire in 21st spot. So it looks like we'll be with 16 drivers on the lead lap for the next and what we can assume is going to be the final restart in this race. Do need to mention, as always, when you get down to a late race restart in these, that because there are no green-white checkers in the iRacing system, Jared, you've had to deal with this in the series a lot, racing in Season 4 and obviously the seasons before that as well. As caution flag can come out in the final 4 laps, this race would end under yellow. Everybody second on back is going to hate seeing that.
Race right before this, even though the time expired, when the time expired, the white flag came out and it was not the checkered. So when the white flag flies, even if you wreck, there's not gonna be, it doesn't matter, it's pretty much you race back to the line. But if there's a wreck before that, you're pretty much frozen in that position that you're in. Evan and Andy, I think we should get the last chance to pick your guy right now, because Evan, you didn't get a chance to here, but I'm going to start off here. Because Rod Flagg is so far back, I don't think he's going to be able to come back and get it. I'm actually going to give it to the person who has never won a race here yet in the ISS. I'm going to give it to that number 8 of Dana Osborne. He's shown some really good strength so far. He's not been able to push, but he's actually going to have somebody who can push him. The number 89 of Matthew Quick is going to be right behind him. My pick is the number 8 of Dana Osborne. Andy, what about you?
After the last race and the bad luck I bring to people, I believe I'm going to go with the 83.
I was going to say, I avoided making a pick that first time through because after what happened with you in the truck race, I'm staying away from that now. Jared's taking your route of changing your pick after it went downhill. I know you're going to take the conservative pick on this swing around. All actually back up, though. I'll go with the 8 as well, Dana Osborne. Had a couple of opportunities to talk with him in some of our post-race podium interviews last season. The fact that that number 8 has not won a race yet is kind of stupid. He's fast every single week, and the stars just have not aligned, so maybe because we're under the lights in Daytona Beach tonight, it might work. So, I'll go with the 8 machine on this one, Dana Osborne. I'll apologize in advance if I get hit with the Andy Kessler.
We still need to get Andy to pick, though. I mean, he can't leave the audience hanging.
Listen, you know what?
He did. He picked the 83, who's already out of the race, so he can't cause any more harm.
Ramon
I think
Evans.
that's his strategy. There you go.
Listen, legitimately, probably everybody on the lead lap still remotely has a chance to win this race. We all know how the draft works here. We all know how the pack racing works. Big wreck on the white flag. I mean, the guy in 15th could just sneak through and get by everybody. And, legitimately, everybody still has a chance. That's why we all like these races. That's why we all watch them, the super speedway races, because you just don't know what will happen. The problem is, though, is these guys have to get by that 71 car. Christian Peterson has been so tough on these restarts. He's been able to maintain that spot on the bottom, and the outside line just hasn't been able to get around him. So he's going to be a tough guy to get around, and I think that these guys got their work cut out for him.
That possibility of having a wreck of the white flag, you look back to about an hour ago in the truck race. We saw a driver that was 10th at 2 laps to go on to win the race. Nothing says that a guy like a Tanner Mann and Anthony Ancallo in 10th and 11th right now, nothing says they can't win this race. A couple of drivers going to get away by, so they'll join us on the lead lap. Mitchell Reeves, Ray Rittenauer, and Josh Ball going to all get back to the lead lap in this one. That'll set us up with 19 drivers as they take their lone quick fix for the duel, get back out there on the racetrack. But this restart, guys, going to be 4 laps to go. Caution will end it unless we hit the white flag. If we get the white flag, no matter what happens, we're going to go, and it's the first person to the checkered flag that wins this race. And we have seen time and time again with this iSuperSpeedway.com racing series that in the B mains, really, in the feature races, the B mains have been absolutely ridiculous on the white flag laps. Maybe the first duel of the night will give us some late race excitement. Christian Peterson is going to be the control car as we get set to go back at it.
Yeah, Christian Peterson is definitely going to be one to watch here, but still, again, I got to watch out for that number 8 of Dan Osborne. He's going to have a head of steam here with Matthew Quick. Matthew Quick has actually shown a lot of speed. He's stayed up there in the top 5 all night long, and now it's time to show what he can do on the outside here as they come to the green flag, Evan.
Pace car going to get down and out of the way for the final time in duel number 1. Pace car gone, green flag flies, back underway for the final time at Daytona. The 10 of Ryan Keese, not that good down low. Third car inside gets jacked up. That's going to open up the door, and Matt Quick, wasting no time, ducks that Chevrolet to the bottom of the racetrack, and that leaves the 8 machine on the outside with not a lot of help.
Not a lot of help. It's going to take about a corner or so for him to get someone up to his back bumper. Corey Henry now, he's made it up there. Look who's also made it back up on that high side. Paul Servant in the 85. He's going to get some push in now and get himself back up to the front.
And there's that run. That 12 gets into the back of the 8. A huge shot, and all of a sudden, Dana Osborne gets that speed right back. He's right back with them, pulls even, and then falls back a little bit as that outside lane, again, just not the sheer number of cars. They fan out. They'll get back together, but the outside has been a very inconsistent place to be. It's hard to bet against the house right now. That's Christian Peterson, 3 to go.
Yeah, Christian Peterson is currently sailing right now. But if I'm the number 6 of Jeff Bicklin or Matthew Quick, I gotta jump out to the outside here, which it looks like he might do here. Is he got somebody? No, and the 10 actually, he waited too late. And that's going to open up the door for Dana Osborne. And the number 89 tried to jump up there in front of the 8, and he's going to still get... He's going to kind of separate the bottom line there, unfortunately. But unfortunately, the outside, they need to stay tight together. That's the only way they're going to be able to make a run on the outside. And Jeff Bicklin, if I'm him, I need to wait till Dan Osborne gets up to my outside there, coming off a 2, and he's going to have to just jump and jolt out there on the backstretch.
Popsicle sticks in the air, less than 2 laps to go at Daytona.
Oh, trouble! Trouble!
That's
Number 41, number 5 5, Tanner Mann turns the number 41 of Ryan Pylan. The 5 tried to come down there, the number 41, and I don't know if he was trying to make a hole and pull in line behind the 41 there, but that is going to be it. And the 71, Christian Peterson, is going to be your winner tonight.
Not even close on that 5 trying to come down. The 41 gets hooked into the fence, and I was about to say, make it back to the line, and you race it out. Unfortunately, not going to be able to do so. Caution flag does fly down in 1 and 2. Christian Peterson will take the white flag at the start-finish line, and he'll catch up to the iRacing.com first Ford Mustang pace car, and this one will be a checker and yellow at the same time to put duel number 1 in the books. That outside, though, again, they had fallen to 4 car lengths back. I'm not sure if they would have been able to even get to him because, again, the outside has the speed, Andy. We saw a draft model go here on the sim. The outside really could not compete as much. It was very difficult to suck up. On the current draft model that these guys are using, there are a lot more that they can play with. The problem is their strength in numbers, and the outside hasn't had the support where they can get there. We saw it. They got to Peterson, but they fell right off. They just didn't have the sheer number of cars, I think, to really stick with that inside. The 71 pretty much had a stranglehold on that one.
I think they were just giving too much separation there. They have to back away as they get into the corner, but I think they were either letting off too much, hitting the tapping the brake too much, doing something, but they were just getting too much separation. Unlike the bottom line would stay right up on each other's bumper, not pushing, but just staying right there up on each other, and that was why they were able to prevail there on the bottom side. And that top side just really couldn't get consistently get up front and stay there, or get that push they needed, or stay bunched up together. So it'll be interesting to see if it's a weather thing that caused that, if it's just an issue with some maybe some of the drivers not used to each other, but we'll see what happens here in the second duel.
At a love tap from behind, that's it. Christian Peterson, no issues on the caution lap. He wins iSuperDuel number 1 at Daytona. Hope he likes the front row because he'll start there for the iSuperspeedway 500 in next week's event. We're going to step away for just a brief moment and try to catch up with Christian Peterson before duel number 2 gets on the way. Still a lot more action to come from Daytona as part of our Friday night doubleheader rolls on. Duel 1 goes to Christian Peterson. We'll be right back.
I'm Dan Garrison, software engineer at iRacing. Since the beginning of Papyrus and through iRacing, the track has been unchanging through a session. Whatever you have at the beginning is what you have for the duration of the session and the end. The track doesn't change. What we want to do is be able to have the track respond to what's going on, to have cars interact with the track, to have the track change in temperature, in the amount of rubber. We want marbles, and we want those to be generated by the cars, putting them where they should be and picking them up and rethrowing them off the race line. It's a physical-based model that we focus on first and foremost. The tire and the track interaction, what's really going on there. It would be easy to just quickly throw something together. Our standards are, it needs to make sense. What's really going on, even at the molecular level between the track and the tire. The way the track works, essentially, is we divide it up into...
Back live at the virtual Daytona International Speedway on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing, the iSuperspeedway.com racing series, iSuperDuel at Daytona, race 1 in the books, and it is going to be Christian Peterson with the win. He'll be on pole position for the iSuperspeedway 500 in 1 week's time. Not a bad place to get the season kicked off, and we've caught up with him on the radio. Christian Peterson, it's Evan Fasoko up in the LSRTV booth. First off, congratulations in that one. Kind of anticlimactic, maybe because the checker and the yellow flew at the same time. You won't object to that by any means, but how'd you get that race 1 after starting in 5th? Seems like you really had good positioning there for the last half of it.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. It seems like, I don't know, we got to the top side. We got to the lead, me and Mark, we battled it out a couple times. He got by me on the high side, he got a bunch of help, and then I seemed to duck out, and I got a bunch of help, and then I got to the lead. And once he fell back, it didn't seem like the top side had anything for me, so it was just kind of set sail from there. I got to thank everybody. Seth, he did a lot to get me to the front. He fell back, got caught up in a wreck at the end. And Anthony, hello, he had a tough couple weeks. He made it in the show, so I'm happy for him.
I'm just going to mention that to you because Wicked Autosport obviously coming into this series and, being one of the new drivers, big rookie class for this season. So there's a lot of new faces we didn't see last year. Being on a team with a guy like Seth the Merchant, you feel that's really helping you out here?
Yeah, for sure. Seth's got a lot of experience on the restrictor plates. He helps me a lot. I don't know. It seems like the draft package, it favors the leader right now, unless you can get a bunch of cars on the top side. So if you can get to the lead and kind of, just keep full throttle, maintain it from there, you're good.
You're going to be up front. You like that starting spot for the 500 next week?
Yeah. Am I on the pole, or is it the
I believe
pole, right?
I believe you guys are the inside, so that should put you on pole. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Rookie up front. I feel like Danica.
Hopefully a little bit of a better result for you at the end of that one. Christian, I know you said a couple of thanks. Any more shout outs you want to give? What we got you?
Yeah, Wicked Autosports, P-Money Graphics. He puts out the paint schemes. He does an awesome job.
All right, well, thanks for swinging by, sticking on the radio and talking with us. Sit back and enjoy the second one, knowing that you're good to go. We'll see you next Friday night.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Again, that is your winner from the iSuperDuel 1 at Daytona. Christian Peterson, Jared, won the first one.
Yeah, Christian Peterson, the rookie, coming out to win Duel 1. Actually, I found out something really interesting. I looked back at the top 5. 3 of the top 5 were actually rookies. The number 71, Christian Peterson, finished first. 89, Matt Click, another rookie, finished third. And the number 10, Ryan Keese, number 10, finished fourth. The only people that were veterans finishing second and fifth were Jeff Figlin and Chad Keene, who usually run in the back. So this was definitely a race of attrition, Evan.
And Andy, although it wasn't quite the thriller that we saw at the end of the Rod Car Truck Tour event, great race, a lot of close calls, a lot of good action. Now we kind of got a taste of what we'll see in Duel 2, I expect, nonetheless.
Yeah, one of the things we're going to have to see is just exactly what happened there with Christian Peterson, the guy who's got the lead on that bottom side. And, the question on the second duel is going to be, is there going to be enough guys that are willing to run that top side and stay hooked together and see if they cannot pull away from that bottom line? We saw it a couple times in this race. They'd get out in front, they'd drop right down, leave the guys hanging, they'd drop right back again. So if there's a group of 4, 5, 6 cars that could possibly stay together, it'd be interesting to see that top line run.
And with that, the cars and some of the carnage gets cleaned off at a racetrack, and we'll restack 22 more. iSuperDuel 2 coming up next on LSRTV. We'll take this moment to step away from the microphones for just a moment, grab some refreshments. We'll be right back from the virtual Daytona International Speedway as Speed Weeks continues on LSRTV.
I'm Dan Garrison, software engineer at iRacing. Since the beginning of Papyrus and through iRacing, the track has been unchanging through a session. Whatever you have at the beginning is what you have for the duration of the session and the end. The track doesn't change. What we want to do is be able to have the track respond to what's going on, to have cars interact with the track, to have the track change in temperature, in the amount of rubber. We want marbles, and we want those to be generated by the cars, putting them where they should be and picking them up and rethrowing them off the race line. It's a physical-based model that we focus on first and foremost. The tire and the track interaction, what's really going on there. It would be easy to just quickly throw something together. Our standards are, it needs to make sense. What's really going on, even at the molecular level between the track and the tire. The way the track works, essentially, is we divide it up into small cells that your car interacts with. So if you're adding temperature to a certain part of the track, we can pretty accurately know exactly where that is. That gets transmitted to the server. So if I'm in a race, my data is going to the server with everybody else in the session. The server accumulates that and basically broadcasts a consistent track state to everyone, so everyone's got the same track that they're racing on. One of the big challenges was being able to implement this dynamic track with any number of clients connected and have it just work as you would expect. Have it be the same for everyone in the service who's in a session. So to kind of give a little bit of a preview of the state of things right now, I basically have run a number of laps at 5 flags with the effects exaggerated for demonstration purposes so that we can kind of immediately see what's going on with the track. Right here is basically the track at the beginning of the session. There is a little bit of rubber on there that's put programmatically. That's the starting state of this track, and it's fairly low rubber at this point. If we skip ahead to the end, yeah, I did about 30 laps, so at the very end, you can kind of see all this darkened in right here. This is where I was running the car, so, well, there you go. And again, this is exaggerated. A single car in 30 laps is not gonna darken the track anywhere near this level. We also have the ability to see the temperature, similar to an IR camera. At the beginning of the session, it's a little bit warm down here. It's very cool up here. As we skip ahead, all of a sudden this part of the track has become very warm. This is where I was running the car. And we can also drag the little thumbnail and see the effect of time as the track cools off and returns back to its equilibrium state. Before we had fairly symmetrical tracks. Now, because the sun is shining at some angle, one side of the track might be particularly hot, and 180 degrees around the track is going to be significantly cooler because the sun isn't really pointing at that. So you're on a track where maybe you basically treated it as 2 equal halves. Now you need to adjust to that. With multiple cars over a long race, you're going to have to seek out where's the grip, where is it going, how is the track changing. It's going to require a much more intelligent approach to racing. You're going to have to be able to handle the track through the life of the race. So in addition to temperature and rubber, we're also spending a lot of time working with marbles, putting them on the track where they should be. Later in a race, you can expect there to be marbles offline, and so a pass might be a little more sketchy later in the race because you're going to have to go through part of the track that has accumulated some rubber. On the oval side, if you want to venture out into, say, the outside line and nobody's been there yet, you can expect to find marbles there. I expect that the track becoming dynamic means that during a race, temperature is going to go up significantly and the grip is going to respond negatively. You will want to be anticipating that, seeking out cooler parts of the track, taking a slightly higher line for a while, testing out, is it faster up here? I fully expect it's going to break up the field. Cars are going to be trying new things. You won't be able to just take a qualifying setup and make a tiny change and then be able to run the same laps over and over. It's going to just become a much more dynamic and unpredictable experience. As significant as this first implementation is in creating a dynamic environment, it's really kind of just sets the foundation for even bigger and better things. We'll be able to handle day-night transitions and a moving sun and clouds coming in and have the track respond to that. We can look down the road and say, well, we'll want to do rain and have water on the track and have it move and have it dry according to where the tires are and how much temperature is there and how much is the sun shining. All these things that happen in a real race, we want to model them, and we are well on our way in being able to do something like that. I think it's great as an iRacing member to see this feature come to fruition. This dynamic track is something that really has been kind of discussed for a long time, and to join the team and be able to bring it to the members, myself being one of them, is very exciting. It's going to change the face of race sessions significantly and really improve the experience.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be into stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
It's been a very long off-season. Teams have changed, sponsors have changed, colors and all, but one thing that hasn't, they like to mash the loud pedal. Green flag is out on the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series season.
iRacing is the ideal platform for these broadcasts because we have the best racers, the best online racers in the world, and we have such a variety of racing, from NASCAR to Grand Prix style racing, sports car endurance racing. We do it all.
Since 2010, the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series has been the absolute pinnacle of road racing in a simulated form. Great start then by Yakoda from the front. They're packing up behind number one. They're going to be 4 wide as they come down into turn number 1 for the first time. Will they make it through that first corner? You can see them funneling through the center S's. It looks as though everyone is just about made it through. We have got ourselves some contact though, Rachel.
Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Humpy's got the advantage, but Ottinger's not going to. Oh, he got into him! Ottinger gets into the 58, turns right into him, and that ends Ottinger's run.
We do a lot of live broadcasts now. Every Tuesday is NASCAR night, so on alternating Tuesdays we do the Peak Antifreeze Series, and on the other Tuesdays the B-Class Series, which is the Xfinity cars, and sometimes we'll even do some short track racing depending on the schedule. Every other Saturday we do the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, so the best road racers we have. And we also broadcast some special events, including the Endurance Championship, which is part of the Road Warrior Series. So we broadcast the Daytona 24, the Sebring 12 hour, we'll do the Watkins Glen 6 hour, several other races along there. And then of course the iRacing Pro Racing Champions, which is usually our biggest and most watched event of the year.
That is short track racing, and that's how awesome this sim is, Joe. That's something you see on TV on highlight reels, and we just saw it here, live.
We invite iRacers who are real-world racers. They compete every December. Guys like Alex Gurney, Justin Wilson, Scott Speed, Ron Capps, the list goes on. Really some big-name drivers from all major forms of motorsport. It's really neat to see them get together and race together.
See Laughlin up top, down to the ball, gets turned! Laughlin gets turned! Caution is out foul at the front of the field!
The easiest place to find the broadcast is on our website, iracing.com/live. So you can find some of our races on fanschoice.tv as well. A nice place to find iRacing broadcasts.
You can also find it at mrn.com and peakauto.com.
Back live at the Daytona International Speedway on LSRTV, getting set for iSuperDuel number 2 under the lights in Daytona Beach as the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series Speed Weeks continues on your home for the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. Evan Pasoko alongside Andy Kessler, Jared Haggerty up in the broadcast booth with you. Down in the production hauler, Laura Lawson getting us back on the air, guys. 5 minutes left in the 20-minute warm-up session, and we go to a 5-minute, again, one-lap single-car qualifying session to set the grid, and then we get set to race to set the outside of the grid for the iSuperspeedway 500 next weekend. We already saw in this most previous one, iSuperDuel number 1, the inside has been set, so the finishing order in this is going to dictate all the even-numbered spots, and it'll line everybody up for the outside for next week.
Oh,
Yeah,
looking forward to it, just like we saw in the first race there. Some great battles up front, some guys getting caught up in some little bit of tangling up with some cars, some couple accidents that caused some guys to have a poor finish, so they'll start deep in the field come next week. But looking for the same stuff this week, or this race, I should say, not this week. But we'll see if that bottom line's going to be the way to be, or if we can get a bunch of guys on that top side to make it happen.
And Andy, this is going to be very interesting because we don't have nearly as many cars as we had in the previous race. Last race we had 22 cars in the field. This race, only 16. So the outside line, I mean, it might mean that some of the cars from that first race will get in, and some of the people who are scheduled to be here that are not going to be able to make it in.
No, you're absolutely right. We'll see what happens. To make that high line work, we all thought that it would take about six, maybe 7, 8 cars to do it, and if we did it in this race, that means they're going to be side by side, 2 rows of 8. So we'll see what happens in this one.
And one thing, guys, that's interesting tonight as well is, although we do kind of chalk this up as the iSuperspeedway preseason, there are points on the line tonight, and not just points, but double points at that.
Yeah, double points night. That was always probably my favorite night when I was out on the track. It's basically the night to go out and shine, and we usually run them when we do the endurance race style here on LSRTV, and those are when we run stuff like the 250 laps at Talladega, or 94 laps. We definitely ain't gonna go 250 laps at Daytona, or that would be way too many.
So we talk about keys to this race and, what you got to do to be able to get up there on the outside. There's a lot less drivers, as you mentioned, in this one than the last one. We saw 22 drivers before. Looks like it'll be 16 drivers in this one. And this one has quite its fair share of big names. Watford, Giratano, you have Bucelia, Bontempi, Dijon Tomaso, McEachin, Chaburko, Hanner. It's quite the stacked field, and it's something that Andy, you touched on, is inside versus the outside. It's always a constant battle, and in this series, we used to see maybe one car get a pass on the outside, and that was lucky because the way the draft model was, you'd push on the outside, you'd get 8 guys in a row, the guy up front would get clear, he'd drop down, nothing else would happen on the outside for 8 laps. Now they have a little bit more, but with the lesser amount of race cars total, could that give an advantage to the outside? I would think that would, if anything, means the inside's going to be that much better off because the outside really going to be that much more of a gamble. And unless you have half of this field really up top, I think the inside's the place to be.
Yeah, inside's going to be the place to be, and you're going to have to watch out. We talked about it in the last race. Just didn't get a chance to see it because that last caution, the guy sitting second and third, they're really going to have to communicate. It's probably going to take at least a last lap pass. Those 2 guys, second and third, possibly third and fourth, to jump out of line on that last lap coming off of turn 2 to even have a shot at winning this race here.
Well, qualifying gets set to go underway. 5 minutes of closed lap single car qualifying. So, we saw earlier in the Ron Car Truck Tour 5 minutes of open qualifying. This race going to be closed qualifying. So, single car speed going to set the grid for where they get set to get this duel number 2 underway. A couple of drivers didn't even put down in time in practice. Hanner and Chaburko, both those drivers out on the racetrack here. What's the key to a good hot lap here? It looks like all of these guys going to ride the top side to get up to speed and stick her to the bottom.
I honestly don't think I'm the best person to be answering that because I always finish in the dead last spot usually when I was qualifying. But a bunch of these guys, I'm actually watching Brandon Chaburko's qualifying lap right now. What he's doing right now, he's actually sitting right there on the bottom. And as he comes out of 2 there, he's going to make that car drift up just the slightest bit right to the middle line. That's usually how you want to go around this track. As he stays down the backstretch, as he comes here into 3, he's just going to come down ever so slightly right before the turn. And there you get a really good entrance. And he's going to be hugging that bomb yellow line. And as he comes out of 4 here, he's definitely going to be drifting just up the track to maybe about the middle of the speedway. But right then, you got to make it drift right back down to hit the triangle as he comes here to make his qualifying lap. Let's see what he got. He will run a 47.904. So right now that puts him to the top of the lead. But you still have some of the best qualifiers, being Rodney Wofford, Frank Vasilius. All these people are really good qualifiers, and they look for them to take the top spot.
And the times begin to flood in. A 47.904 by Chaburko, the fastest Q lap in comparison to a 45.0 that we saw in practice. Andy, that's a 3-second differential, draft with no draft.
Oh, that's huge. When you're talking a draft here in these cars, you're talking 1,600 horsepower as opposed to 800. So draft laps are huge here. That's why it plays a role during the race. But to get a single car qualifying effort, to get a really, really fast lap, it's just all about your steering and not jerking that wheel. You got to be so precious with it. You got to be so, the slightest of movements. That's all you want, because any little bit's going to scrub some time off of that.
And with 2 cars to put down at a time, it is Rodney Wofford who jumps up to the top of the board and right now has the 7 in the top spot as the final couple of times begin to trickle down and we get set to set the grid for the iSuperDuel number 2 at Daytona. Talk about some of the things we're going to see throughout this season with the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series. We're glad to have you with us this Friday. We hope to see you every Friday night as racing action continues on through the year. 3 drop weeks in this 13-race regular season that begins next week. Ultimate goal to be one of the 10 drivers in the iSuper Chase. If less than 10 drivers win with that win and you're in mentality, those final spots going to be filled on points, and as we mentioned tonight, points doubled up tonight. First time we're going to earn points in Season 5. Tonight could be very crucial towards somebody's championship hopes. Although you might not think it, it's Daytona, it's Speed Weeks. You want to go out there and go big or go home. It could be the difference between a 5-point gap And, you might not look back to this race. You might say, 2 weeks ago I should have done better. But every point counts. And we saw that, how close the season 4 cut line was. Less than a minute left in qualifying. Let's go down trackside now for our opening ceremonies and a singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
A big thank you to Jaden Berkey for providing us and singing our national anthem this evening, and as well for the virtual Thunderbirds for the flyover to get this one underway. Let's rock and roll. Take a look at the LSRTV starting grid for iSuperDuel number 2 at Daytona. It is going to be that 47.886 of the 7 at Rodney Wofford to put the Race Fed Racing Incorporated machine on pole position. Brandon Chaburko's number 3 will sit on the outside. That's the Exxon Chevy in second.
Starting third tonight will be Donnie Giratano, and to his outside in the number 94 will be Frank Busilia.
Chris Bassini will start this race in 5th position on the inside of row 3. Outside him is that 20 machine of Matt Bontempi.
The 088 of Kent Connolly, he's going to roll off 7th, while Kyle Gary will roll off 8 in the number 25.
Not quite Bristol, but it's the Rainbow Warrior, 24 of Josh Hanner. Going to start from the 9th spot, and outside him, rounding out your top 10, it's the Camo number 4 Chevy. That's Tommy Hall.
Rolling off 11th here tonight in the 28, that's Shane Machichin. And to his outside in the 38, that's Karsten G. DeTanamaso.
Rod Mitten's Farmers Insurance Chevrolet will start in 13th position, and Alex Halliner will start in 14th.
Glenn Hedrick in the 21 car, he's going to roll off 15th, while the 13 of Eugene Vernon, he's going to start 16th.
I'll tell you what, Glenn Hedrick, that is an old name for the iSuper Speedway Cup days. Back into this series this year, been reinstated, went through the application process that a lot of these guys went through. Again, a huge rookie class, a lot of old names back, a lot of new faces here. Good to see the 21 machine. He'll sit at the back of this field. So instead of 22, it's 16 drivers. It'll look like a lot of a smaller number. Really, 6 drivers, not a whole lot of a difference, but it is definitely going to shake up the complexion of this race. And Wofford has the spot that everybody wants, and it looked like P1 was nearly invincible, but it looked invincible at the end of last race. We saw at the start of Duel 1, very fluid early, and the really key thing is those guys on the outside, does a guy like Chaburko, Busilia, Bontempi, Geary, and Hall, all of those odd-numbered drivers, do they stick up there, or when they see a hole on the bottom, do they drop down? That's the difference between what happens.
Yeah, they definitely want to go down to the bottom as quickly as possible, and if I'm Rodney Wofford, I definitely want to keep my teammate, number 2 of Donnie Giratano, right behind me, and because, I mean, really, if you look at it, they're really the only teammates they're anywhere close to each other here, and if I'm looking through the field right now, they're the only teammates that are in this race. But we're going down to the green flag, pace car is off, green flag's in the air, Rodney Wofford leads the way, but Chaburko got a big jump there, but he has no help behind him as Frank Busilia is separated from him going down into 1.
Jaburko can't get clear quite yet, tries to do it 2-3 times. The 7 not going to budge, and Rodney Wofford fights back on the inside, down to 1 and 2. He'll maintain that top running spot. The 94 trying to give that 3 a push. Busilia wasn't quite able to get to the back bumper of Brandon Jaburko in time. Those are 2 past series champions on the outside of the front row there, running right now in what's going to be second position and fourth, as that 2 of Donnie Giratano getting to get showing after starting in third, still sits as that second car down low, and he's going to give Wofford a good car length gap down now in 3 and 4.
Giratano's going to try to pull away now and get that second spot all to himself. That's going to make the battle side by side for that third spot with Piscini now with the inside. Now he's going to clear out Jaburko on the outside. So now that bottom line, just like we saw in the first duel, really starting to make headway here early on.
And it's every man for himself up top. They all jump ship down to the bottom. It's just now the 3 and the 94. Absolutely no love for those 2 drivers up on the outside of the racetrack. Nobody even thinking about going with them at this point. It took us about halfway through that first duel to see our first single file freight train. Looks like this one might be coming substantially earlier, as that 3 and 94 still with no help. 94 will get in line. Jaburko is going to slot down in front of Busilia. He will do so. 20 of Bontempi now becomes the sole car up top.
Yeah, Bontempi tried to make a move there on the number 94, but unfortunately, the number Bontempi, another guy back after suspension last year, he is back in the series, and he's trying to make a name for himself. But right now, unfortunately, he's going to be losing the draft here as they go down the backstretch. But Jaburko, he's not one to shy away from a challenge going on the outside. I know they're all riding single file there, but he's not going to be able to stay there for long. He wants to move up to the front. He's known for doing so in this series. As you can see, he's got the number 94, Frank Busilia, there on the outside, and it looks like 4, Tommy Hall's thinking about coming up. It's not, but it's going to be actually the 24 of Josh Hanner, the leader of the Hanerick Motorsports cars. He's going to be coming up in Jaburko. They're going to make a run for the front here.
So Hanner goes to the outside of the racetrack. He would like some more support from his teammates, but they were all in duel number 1, so we'll have to work with Jaburko. And that Chevrolet, the 3 car, going to give a push to the 24. Looks like the 1 wants to join the party now. Chris Piscini to the outside of the racetrack. It's a game of chicken. Nobody wants to be the first car up there, but then once 1 car goes, everybody goes. Now 4 cars on the outside, 5.
Yeah, now we see the field pretty much split in half, all on the top, all on the bottom. As they make a run for the front now, though, here's Piscini. He's getting a lot of help from that 24 Hanner. They're making a hard charge here down the front straightaway. But Rodney Wofford just hanging tough on that bottom side with Giratano with it helping him. And those 2 have not even made a move at all to try to get out of the way. Those guys are just making it happen on the bottom side. I think a few of these guys may have watched that first duel, and they might just have a plan just to stick to that yellow line here this whole race.
And I tell you what, some of the drivers from that first duel, if they're not tuning in on our LSRTV broadcast, a couple of them are still in this session and are keeping an eye, taking any and all information that they can. Try to put that towards the 500, because we talk about how you get a trophy for every single win. Some of the coolest ones, probably the championship, and then the iSuperSpeedway 500 without a doubt. So, you know, it's a pretty big deal. The biggest race of the year, really, getting things kicked off in just 1 week's time. You want to put on a good performance. Jaburko going to go to the outside, the 088 machine to Kent Connolly in third. Small checkup from that Mid-South Chevrolet. Jaburko didn't really have a clear gap, but kind of split it, jumped to the outside lane, and he'll be able to get there and try to do something with it. But again, once he goes out there, no immediate help. There's a couple of them, 3 wide, the 24 to the third lane, and that's probably not going to work at all.
Yeah, that was not a smart move there by Josh Hanner, but actually it might have been, because he's actually got the 28. Maybe they're going to be working together here, as Hanner is the only person from his team in this race. So he's going to be trying to do everything he can to get to the front here, and it looks like that's teaming up with the number 28 of Shane McKeechin, and he's going to be squeezing right back in, right behind Chris Piscini, another person from the Big City group. He is the only person from his team in this race, and I mean, these teams, after all their teammates being in heat number 1 and not being able to work with anybody, that's going to throw a big monkey wrench into a lot of these people. The only teammates that are in this group right now are the 7 and the 2, and they're running first and second. And if I'm Rodney Wofford, again, I got to keep that 2 behind me, keep that inside lane strong, and just run my race the way I am right now.
And it's that 3 and the 1 on the outside, not necessarily teammates, but affiliated cars. You see them working together up on the outside of the racetrack. And Chaburko, huge run that time. Is it going to be enough to get to the lead? Looks like he'll hit the corner just about 3 seconds too early. Will stall out on the outside. The 7 now going to pull back up alongside. And that Tua Giratano continues to sit in second. There's 2 kinds of drivers that you can be at a plate track. You can be an aggressive driver, you can be a passive-aggressive driver. We saw Rod Flagg win a championship in this series without making one trip to victory lane. What did he like to do? He liked to do what that Tua Giratano is doing right now, and that is just sit on the bottom of the racetrack right there and not force the issue. Let the race come to him. Let the strategy work out before he goes at it. The 2, though, he'll take advantage of 7 turned into the outside wall. Chaburko going to come down and collect at least 2 other cars. They still reckon down to corner number 1. Looks like a round goes to 25 of Kyle Geary. Caution flag is out, just as I was going to say how Donnie Giratano was so passive-aggressive. The 7 kind of gave it to him. Looked like he tried to block Chaburko or go with him. Went up 1 too many times and then just turned back up again and kind of put that 3 machine into the wall after Chaburko was there. Chaburko moved up once, but wasn't going to keep moving up.
Yeah, Chaburko out there on the outside. I mean, it was tough there for Wofford. I mean, he could fit a car there, but he could not afford to make a mistake. Unfortunately, he just came a little bit too high, and then Chaburko and him just slammed that outside retaining wall. And actually, Chaburko came down into the 21. It was of Glenn Hedrick, the I guess you could call him a seasoned veteran. I mean, he hasn't been around for a while, but unfortunate for Glenn, he got into that wreck. But he's going to get his quick fix and be back on the track. And number 25 there also got damaged. That was Kyle Geary, one of the veterans from last season, is going to be getting some damage repaired as well.
Is going to find himself in the race lead. Over top of the 088 at Kent Connolly, Chris Bassini, Tommy Holland, Karsten D. John Tomaso. Everybody's still trying to find the pace car, so it looks like things are going to take a little bit longer to get this caution flag sorted out as everybody's still trying to find their proper spots in line, it looks like.
That was an interesting start to the race. Very shocked at the move Randy Wolford did. He had, I don't know, it looked as though he was going up there to try to block the 3 car, but it just did. I don't know why. We've seen it in the first duel. We've seen it so far in this race that top groove just stalls out when you get into the corner. So I'm not sure exactly what he was thinking there or what he was doing, or if he was trying to block and come back down. But you know, you can't fault anyone there except I wonder about the judgment of that move, and obviously not the right time to do it this early in the race.
Well, everybody's still trying to catch the pace car, so we'll step away for just a moment from Daytona International Speedway. First caution, and we'll step away for a brief moment of our own. You're watching iSuperDuel number 2 with the iSuperspeedway.com racing series on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Green flag back in the air at Daytona, and the outside going to have the advantage down to quarter number 1. Chris Bassini in the Pennzoil Chevy's got help from behind. How about Karsten DeJohn Tommaso give it a shove? Started this race back in 12th, and he is up to 4th position right now. But this old Glenn Hendrick back in the pack trying to get the scoring updated as he really sits back in the pack, but is currently short at the top of the scoring pylon right now. Big news is that, too, though, Donnie Giratano trying to hang on, but the outside, though, more cars, if not even so, than the inside, which is the opposite of what we saw at the start. They really need to capitalize on that track position they have.
They do have to capitalize on it, but it looks like it's still going to be tough to do right here. That bottom line, just hanging tough. Ride that yellow line all the way around this track. You shouldn't have any issues. We just saw an issue when that last caution when you actually get away from that strategy. So right now, Giratano is getting it done right now on the bottom side. Everybody's moved down to the bottom side now, and has left Chris Bassini to the high side all by himself. He's going to fall back like a rock here down the back straightaway.
So it looked like he might have gotten the race lead. Instead, he is going the wrong direction, and he is going that way quickly on the outside. The 38, 28, the 7, now the 94 of Frank Busilia, and more are all cycling through the bottom. The 92 machine of Ron Mitten also going to take advantage, and all the way to the back goes Chris Bassini. One car real slow off the corner. Glenn Hendrick is bringing the number 21 Ford Fusion down to the pit lane.
Yeah, they were having a discussion over the radio. I'm not quite sure what happened because I had my chat muted. But Glenn Hendrick, unfortunate for him, he's actually having to bring his car down pit lane. I think it might have been they waved. Okay, I'm actually getting word from race control. They actually waved him too early. So that put Glenn Hendrick way far ahead of the pace car. So that put him in the lead, but way out in front of everybody else, and that's not really a fair advantage, Evan.
Yeah, that would explain a little bit of a fiasco under the caution to catch the pace car, and it also explains why Glenn Hendrick was shown at the top of the scoring pylon and is still scored as the race leader right now because he has to let those leaders get by him. He came down, served that penalty, and now that lead group has passed him as they go off at a 4. He enters turn 3 all by himself. Not a good advantage to the 21, so they had to make sure of that, but that really hurts him, and it's something that was really not in his control, Andy, but now he finds himself out of the pack and has no draft and way back.
Yeah, way back. He's actually, I think he's still scoring the leader right now. These guys are going to have to actually catch up to him and get by him. He'll probably fall back in line, catch the end of the draft here behind Chris Bassani once everybody gets around him here. But now we got a little movement in the back here. It looks like Buccelli, he's actually moved to the outside. He's going to get a little help from Mitten, and they're going to maybe try to get this high line going again. But too much separation right now between these guys as they're going to 1 and 2.
And it looks like Glenn Hendrick slowing down the back straightaway to actually let those leaders come on by. He needs the kind of time when he gets back to the accelerator, because if he doesn't get back on the gas right when that field starts to cycle on through, he can fall way back. So there is still an opportunity for that Ford Fusion to be with this lead group of race cars. He just needs to hope that he can drop back and get his proper spot in line before a caution flag, or he might have to be given an EOL penalty to be taken out of the race lead in this one. So he's by himself. Everybody else is single filed out. So keep an eye on Hendrick as he goes off to corner 1, running about 10 miles an hour. He's running a 182. The race leader's 202. So they're going to catch him very quickly, and when they do, he better hope he can get in line and catch the draft quickly.
Yeah, he's going to have to hope for a prayer here, because he right now is only running 187 down the backstretch as they just entered the turn, and now Giratano is just entering the turn. 186 versus 203 miles per hour. And actually, I just noticed something. Where in the world did Tommy Hall come from? The number 4 somehow moved into second position while we were focused on Glenn Hendrick, and he's actually looking to the outside here now, Glenn. Nope. But no, the number 28 is Shane McKeechin, the truck race winner, is actually going to appear to the outside. He's going to go for the lead. I don't know if this is going to cause a problem, because they're coming up really quick on the 21 car here down the backstretch.
Yeah, what a time to decide to go 2 wide. They're going to be interesting getting around Hedrick. Race control letting these guys know as they go 3 wide, and it doesn't look like it's going to be much of an issue. Then Hedrick goes by on the outside is that the laps led will be adjusted in the official race results. So the lap led tally at the end of this is going to be unofficial. Important because there are bonus points for laps led, most laps led and such, and especially because tonight's a double points night, race control going to make sure they correct that, so that will be unofficial at the checkered flag in this one. Donnie Giratano, though, loving the yellow line, and he better not give away too much from it because he slid up about half a car length, and it looked like that forward Tommy Hall tried to stick a nose to the inside and almost tried to take it from him. The 2 shut the door. He maintains that lead, but with only 2 cars on the outside, can Shane McKeachin and Rodney Watford do it? We're going to have a lot more help. There goes the 94. Frank Busilia to the outside, the 92. Now the outside outnumbers the inside.
That's exactly what I wanted to see if this would actually work for these guys. But now the question is, will McKeachin actually drop down in front of the 2, or will he stay up there to see if this top line, if he can get some help with him, if he can get the 7 car to clear of Wolford? But not going to happen. McKeachin is actually going to fall down in line right in front of the 2. That's going to leave that top line to try to fend for themselves. It looks like they're going to only be able to let 1 car jump down in front of that lead each time, but by this time, it's basically like musical chairs at this point.
And Andy, I'll actually jump in there. I'm gonna be in Shane McKeachin's mind here. If I am Shane, I had to take it at that point because you have the number 7 of Rodney Walford right behind you. The last thing you want to do is have the 7 and the 2 get together, because if they get together, they're gonna just time it right and get you on the outside and just push right around you. And here we see that, and Whopper's actually going to have help here. He's going to have to help the number 4, Tommy Hall. Tommy Hall, a person who usually runs at the back on most of these races that we go to, is actually going to try to make a run to the front here, and he doesn't have the run right now. They don't have enough people on the outside, but look for him to make his way to the front.
And guys, we saw something interesting there with that 7 Rodney Watford, is that he followed the 28 through. He could have gone down to the bottom of the racetrack in behind Shane McKeachin. He would be in second right now. He stayed on the outside. He wanted to leave the outside lane instead of being second. It looks like he'll be about 7th by the start-finish sign. That's the gamble you take, and it does not pay off that time by for the Race Fed Racing Inc. Chevy.
That it doesn't. That top line now outnumbered again by the bottom of the 7 car now of Wofford. Actually looked like he was going to go to the inside. He is. That's going to leave the 4 car, Tommy Hall, all by himself on the top side. He's going to have to wait for all these cars to go by. He'll drop back in line behind the 92 of Mitten. That'll be the battle. That battle right there won't be much of a battle, but that'll be for the 8th position here. There's only 8 cars in this front lead pack. So the second half of this pack is actually falling off pace here at the halfway point of this race.
Yeah, 9th on back, 5.5 seconds away. They're led by Josh Hanner, so nothing but a caution is going to be able to get them back up 5.5 seconds and back into the conversation. So those guys hoping for a yellow, but they don't want to be the yellow. They're hoping that things up front get dicey. Staying fluid nonetheless. The 94 of Frank Busilia on the outside of the racetrack. Behind him, the number 1 of Chris Bassini. But again, 2 cars, not enough to do the trick. But Andy, when we saw the outside get more than the inside, blew the doors off him. So it's possible. You just need some teamwork and cooperation, which is easier said than done.
Yeah, maybe with more team cars being around each other come next week's race, maybe we'll see a little bit more of that. But when you're strapped like this, and some of these guys are basically the only car in their team in this race, so it's kind of tough with that. You'll definitely got to find some friends, and right now that top side, they got 3 of them right now, but I don't think that's enough. Now the 38 of Dijon Tommaso has jumped out. He dropped back down the line. I'm sorry, I'm butchering that name all night tonight, but he drops back down to that bottom line now. But here comes the 94 now. He's still trying to make a push on that outside to work.
3 cars on the outside, down to 2 cars on the outside. That 92 of Rod Mitten playing duck, duck, goose, trying to figure out which lane he wants to take. Looks like he'll stick with the bottom. No, he'll just drive down the middle of that white hash line down there in the middle of the racetrack. Doesn't know what he wants to do yet. Thinking about the outside, but again, we've seen the gamble that you take on the outside. Did not work for the 7. The 92, being the last car in this group, really doesn't have a whole lot to lose. One driver that does, though, and I'm going to place the blame to Jared Hackney on this one. Andy got somebody in the truck race. Jared got the 4 in this one. Talking about how Tommy Hall was running so good, he ends up being the last car in that pack and now falls off of the draft.
Yeah, unfortunately, Tommy Hall fell off that draft, but I think he should be okay. I mean, he has the number 24, probably about less than half a straightaway, and we just saw that happen to Glenn Hedrick. The number 21, he was actually able to get onto the back of this pack that's currently running with 6 cars right now, Josh Hanner being the leader of them, but still, they are about 7 seconds back. So, unfortunately, if they're going to make some headway, they need to start doing it and doing it now. But what I just realized is we are also going to be coming up on pit stops here for people who have not pitted yet. So, Evan, this is going to throw something really interesting into here. And, Andy, what do you think about pit stops coming in late in this race?
Well, green flag pit stops are where it's won and lost here at Super Speedway, especially here at Daytona. They're coming so fast off that corner. You got to time your braking just right. You do it too early, you're going to lose too much time. And we all know that time on a track like this is very, very precious. So coming onto pit road is going to be key, especially in the green flag. And you got to come down with a partner, because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble.
And we have seen many a time you can't just choose one guy and come down with him and expect you guys to both make perfect pit stops and get back out there. Very well possible that if you come down with 7 drivers, you might only exit with 2 or 3 right around you. You can always kind of drag the brake and do whatever you want, but you really need to be with somebody. Tommy Hall comes down pit road. That's the number 4 machine. All alone, though. Probably not what he would have liked, but has to come down pit lane nonetheless to be able to make his marks. He's down by himself. Race lead, though, they're not coming down quite yet because they still sit side by side on the outside. Now pulling 3 cars up on him, but keep an eye on that secondary pack. You would think almost that they're going to be going quicker than the leaders because they're single file and, you know, cooperating guys, but they're significantly slower than that lead pack. That's too wide.
Yeah, they definitely need to be pushing a little bit harder, because that first time by, it was 8.2. This time by, 8.8. So they are losing these. I don't understand why they're losing this draft, because they have 6 cars in the line. They should be going fast. We saw last week, number 41 of Ryan Pilot in that group, they were single file just like this. They were able to catch them. So it's really not making sense to me why these guys are not catching them. And Andy, do you have any theories on why that is?
It's just you got to stay up on these guys' bumpers when you're in a line like that. You could have 12 cars in a line, but if they can't stay stable, if they can't stay still, if they can't completely stay glued to each other, you're not going to make up any time. And on a place like this is. Yeah, we're getting weird that they were faster, but I don't know. I keep seeing them lose time. But anyway, yeah, this front pack I'm not saying that they're running any better than that backpack, but I think it's just a difference. Is pit road's going to get busy now. We got 3 guys diving down there now.
And how good is the entry? It looks like it was a little bit hot if you're Karsten DeJohn Tomaso. He crossed the cone at 57 miles an hour. Might have been able to get away with it. It was a close call. Chris Bassini and Donnie Giratano in pit lane as well. So those drivers are going to be okay as far as their entry. But that 2 machine also had an interesting entry. So that lead pack is going to split up. The top 4 stay out. The 3 of them come down and coming off of the pit lane, the first drivers that are going to be able to complete their service now, going to get back out on the racetrack. And now we need to see if you have any sort of advantage. If you pit now versus if you pit as that second group or third pack of race cars, you're going to get back out there. You have to get in unison to get up to speed so that when those guys come down, hopefully you can find yourself in front of them.
I just noticed there on the pit stop, the 2 car of Giratano, he actually took some tires there Well, the other guys didn't, so he's actually going to come out on the track here all by himself, and that's exactly what you don't want. So, obviously, a lack of communication right there between all these crew chiefs is what to do. And, I mean, whether they're a teammate of yours or not, you definitely don't want to come out of here alone.
Still side by side, 2 rows deep for the race lead at iSuperDuel 2. Now inside of 10 laps to go. Shane McKeechin with a beautiful Dollar General Toyota Camry down on the bottom of the racetrack. That 28 just pops up there as the race leader on the ticker. He still leads right now. The 94 trying to change that though. Busilia 1/1000th off last time by. This time 12 1/1000ths off. Still keeping things fresh and interesting. That secondary pack of race cars has still not come down pit road, and not the greatest cycle of pit stops if you're talking about Karsten, John Tomaso, and company. He is not with Chris Passini. Passini's 2 seconds back from the 38. Giratano 7 seconds back from them. So you can pretty much write it up as those guys aren't going to be going to the race lead because they failed to execute.
Yeah, but this is throwing an it's sorry, I can't talk today. It's throwing an interesting scenario because oh Lord, I'm getting made fun of by our race director, Laura Lawson. Thank you so much, Laura. But no, it's very difficult because right now you have these group of cars who have not come in. If I'm these cars that are in these 2 groups, I need to come in right now because I can only push my fuel so far. And if you're going to make that big risk, I mean, we had those early cautions, so the question is, did they save enough, or did they even come in at all?
Well, we'll see that secondary pack. They have yet to come down pit road, but, you know, they're still 13 seconds back and falling, so that's not necessarily going to be a case in this. But again, we did see that caution flag earlier on, and it looks like for the most part, all of those guys did elect to come down pit road. Now, if you're talking about our leader, Shane McKeechin, number 28 machine, again, started this race in 11th. He made up a majority of that track position, but he also did come down pit road at lap 11. So for the fuel cell that these guys are working on, trying to stretch it 30 laps, it could be doable. It would be close, but you know, they really haven't had another yellow that would give them that extra little bit to save. But right now, these guys currently working 24 laps on that gas, and they're trying to make it all the way right now. The top 4 still side by side down to quarter 3.
Side by side, they haven't really given each other anything to shoot for. I figured they would drop down in single file and try to even spread the lead out by even more, but instead, side by side, they come through the tri-oval. Shane McKeechin, he's still got your lead with Wolford pushing him down the front straightaway, heading back into turn number 1. The high side still stalling out every time they go through that corner.
Single filed, still 5th on back, but 13 plus seconds is the gap between that lead 4 cars and they're on back, and they continue to just add time onto it. Meanwhile, if this does become the battle for the race win without pit stops involved, who's in a better position to fight for this one? That 28 still hugging the yellow line on the bottom of the racetrack. It'll be just 5 laps to go at Daytona. This time by the 7, the 92. Both the cars pushing. Can't get caught for pushing him in the corner, trying to find and strike that right balance. But I'll tell you what, with 4 cars, Andy, I've seen that these guys have had a lot better time being able to stay on the outside as opposed to fall back than when we had more cars. So Busilia doing a good job, and kudos to Rod Minton for the good push as well. Real high, though, in the corner. That'll stall them out. It looks like Busilia might want to get single fouled out, maybe thinking about pit road.
Could be thinking about pit road. We're running out of laps here, so if they do go down to pit road, I have a feeling these guys are trying to just save the fuel and try to get to the end. I don't know if I figured if they knew they couldn't make it to the end, they would have pit already. I would think you don't want to come down and pit on the last lap or 2 laps to go, because then by the time you get your car wound up, you have no chance of catching anybody if they got in front of you. So I think these guys are just trying to ride it out, and this might be your race for the win here.
Inside the point of the race now, that if a caution flag were to fly, it would end this race prematurely. The outside lane has not been able to get clear on Shane McKeechin, but here at Haggerty, we know so very well in this series, you don't need to get clear to win the race, you just need to get a nose on him, and this time, let's see what Ron Minton can do as the lead car. Busilia drops back to push him on the outside.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You really do not have to lead any lap but the last one to win the race. I mean, that's just a simple fact. We've seen it time and time again where the person who has gone in leading the last lap does not win the race, and that has proven true the last, I think, 2 or 3 races we've run here. So I mean, it's a catch-22. You don't know who's gonna win this race. All you have to do is lead that one lap to take home the win here. Lock yourself in. Well, not necessarily lock yourself in this week, but lock yourself into winning or starting on the front row next week.
It looks like 30 laps on that 70% fuel cell is going to be just enough to make them the distance, Andy. At least that's what they're hoping, because they are definitely not going to be coming down pit road, I wouldn't imagine, at this point. Popsicle stick's going to be in the air this next time by. It's remained lockstep like this for the last 10 laps. The 28 down low, the 7 Rodney Wofford, who swept Daytona Speed Weeks in Season 4, yet to get a win so far, and I'll call it a winless drought just because he didn't win the shootout 1 week ago. He would love to win, and now he is in a spot that he might be able to do something. The outside non-existent anymore. The 92, the 94 drop down in line. That gives Wofford some room to play with if he tries to do something.
That'll give him some room to play with, and like I talked about at the beginning of this race, that 2nd, 3rd, 4th spot, I think those guys are the ones in the catbird seat. As now Wofford's trying to make some moves right now. The 28 of Shane McEachin, he's actually doing a great job of blocking right now as they go back into turn number 3. They're going to get the white flag this time by, so if you're going to make a move, now's your time to do it.
White flag going to fly this time by at Daytona. Single file, now it's a game of cat and mouse. McEachin, 2.5 miles to the checkered flag.
Yeah, what is McEachin going to do here? Because not only does he have to worry about Rodney Wofford, he's got Rod Mitten and Frank Busilia. 2 people proven who can win in this race. Rod Mitten, one of the guys who was on the outside, he's actually going to go to the outside this time. But Frank Busilia is not going to go with him. He is going to leave for Rod Mitten. He actually got a piece of the wall there. And it's going to be a 3-car battle going down into 3.
The 7 sits as the predator, the prey, the 28. Shane McEachin trying to hold on. Can the 7 of Wofford do anything, though? Nobody on the outside. There'll be single file out of 4. He can't get the run to the outside, to the bottom of the racetrack. Yellow line, side by side, and he'll get him at the start-finish line. Rodney Wofford wins at the stripe, but he did go low below the double yellow line, and I believe that may disqualify him from this race. And you're not able to advance your position below the double yellow. Race control, as we expected, is going to put this race under review. The big thing that, Andy, you got to look at here is that the 7 can go below the double yellow if he's forced there. He goes to the bottom of the racetrack, he's on the double yellow, and this is close because left side tires are on it. You can go on it, not below it. He's on the line to begin with. The 28 machine ducks down to the bottom of the racetrack there, and then he forces the 7 down low. But the question is, the 7 went so close to the double yellow to begin with anyways that the 7 would argue that he got pushed down below. The initial word we're hearing from race control is that the 7 did go below the double yellow line, and therefore he will not be the winner in this race. We're hearing Shane McEachin to victory lane. Race control going to continue to review this one to make sure the 7 wants it to be reviewed yet again. We'll step away from Daytona. It looks like, though, Shane McEachin will sit on the outside of the front row for the iSuperspeedway 500. Unofficial winner so far in iSuperDuel number 2. We'll be right back for the final post-race show on LSRTV on our Friday night doubleheader coming right up.
Once its sights are set, nothing can stop the ferocious lion from capturing its prey. Relying on keen senses, lions search patiently before striking with alarming speed. Wait for it. Gotcha, Mr. Piece of Rubbish. He is truly the master of his environment. Do good, be a lion.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
In the outside, contact made, 56 slides in at a 4, who's gonna be at the stripe, dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
We're back live at a virtual Daytona International Speedway with the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series on LSRTV, and the iSuperDuel number 2 is in the books. So the official word from race control comes down. The 7, who was the first car across the start-finish line, Rodney Wofford, will not get his second straight iSuperDuel win. He will receive a penalty and finish 3rd in this race. Therefore, Shane McEachin wins. Frank Busilia will jump up and take 2nd. The explanation from race control, and we had a discussion about this guy's under the caution flag, where that 20 actually running at it, rather than the 28 of Shane McEachin, running out of gas across the line. One of the arguments that you could make in favor of the 7 is the car in front of him ran out of gas. He had to get down out of the way. But their explanation from race control, and the counter argument that I posed to you guys, was that 7 went down to the double yellow line before the 28 ever came down to block that inside lane, and therefore the 7 ended up below. Race control says because of that, it showed intent. He was down, and it was an illegal pass, rather. So he will receive that penalty and come home in 3rd. And Jared, you know, an interesting call and all of that. Nonetheless, it's not going to be in victory lane. It's going to be with the 3rd place tonight. But you have caught up with Rodney Wofford, who was that close from getting a win, and he'll end up in 3rd. You with him?
Yeah, I've caught up with the number 7 of Rodney Wofford. And Rodney, seems like every time I interview you, it's just something that happens in the race, whether it be controversial or whatever. But what was your view from that last lap?
Ducked to the inside there, lefts got on the yellow. I knew they were close or going to run out, and I figured they would run out, and I seen them sputter the 92 there, and we went into the tri-oval, and I yanked it down left to get below because I seen some flames come out, and Shane sputtered at the time, and then I seen him come down, and I just went on down so we wouldn't have an incident there. But it is what it is right now, I guess.
Well, you had a great run there. I mean, you and Donnie were able to pretty much control most of the race. Talk about how important that being able to control the race was early on and towards the end of the race there.
It was good there. We didn't have very many cars in that last pack there, and it was hard to do much. Plus, I was making sure I was going to make it on fuel, but it was tight. We had good tight racing there when we were too wide, so it was fun when we had it.
Well, you still are able to pull off a third place finish, and it's pretty respectable. You're going to be starting sixth into the Daytona or the iSuperSpeedway 500. What do you think your chances are going into that race next week?
I don't know. We'll have to see. This package yields a lot of different things, so I could win it, could finish last. That's how it is.
All right, Ronnie. Well, before we let you go, as always, sponsors and shout-outs you want to give out?
I got to thank everybody here. I got to thank you guys, Jared, Evan, Andy, Laura for everything, and, Rob for putting it on. And, everybody here that makes it happen. I appreciate it.
Well, we thank you for joining us up here. That is your third place finisher today, the number 7 of Rodney Wofford. And I think Andy has caught up with our second place finisher. Andy, who you got down there?
Yeah, I'm down here on pit road with the driver of the number 94 McDonald's Ford Fusion, and that's Frank Busilia. Frank, solid run tonight. Fuel mileage came into effect. Did you know you had enough, or was it a product of just crossing your fingers and hoping you could save enough, even though you were running up there in the front pack?
Running up there, man, it's full gas pedal. So it's big for track position starting in the long race next week. But I thought when we came down we'd be fine. I still did a little bit of saving on the pace laps, and I ran out. Started blipping anyway. Just on entry to 1 there, so it was really close. But at that point with a couple to go and it's that close, my bed's already made. So
Absolutely. Well, you had yourself a great run. You're going to get a great start in the big race next week. Would you say, as far as what could you say you took away from this 40-lap race here tonight, as far as what you learned? Are you going to want to run the high side? Are you going to want to run the low side? Is it pretty much? We saw it. If you could maintain that yellow line, you could pretty much keep yourself up front, because it's going to be hard to pass on that outside.
yeah, it's I don't know why people don't run it. You can't pass anybody by following the 30 other cars on the bottom. If you get enough people on the top, it works. So I'm not sure. I don't have a clue why people just, it's a race. I don't want to ride. I want to race. And you got to pass people, try to win the race. So I'm going to be aggressive wherever I need to go to try to make my way to the front. That's where I'm going to try to put my car.
Now, making friends, teammates, things like that, is it going to be the talk of, let's get on this high side and let's just stay here and make it work all race long? Or is it going to be just kind of more like a chess game? You push that one car out front, he gets out there, you drop back again, you hope to get another run in a couple laps. Is it going to be something like that? Are you guys going to physically try to keep that top side running for the whole race?
It probably won't work the whole race. Not when there's only 2 or 3 guys up there like there was in the races tonight. But once we had 4 or 5 of us, I think a few of us pushed Shane out to the lead really easily, and then everybody dropped to the bottom, and that's how it stayed. So if people want to run it, it works. It's just people don't like to run it for some reason. I don't know. But hopefully we can get some kind of stuff going next week in the longer race. And people will have more time getting to the front next race. So people will probably be taking it a little easy at the beginning and maybe getting aggressive halfway or to the end.
There you go. Well, congratulations on a great finish here tonight. A good starting spot for next week. Anybody you want to thank for tonight's performance?
Yeah, of course. As always, to LSRTV and you guys for what you do in broadcasting and Rod Flag for the league. Right at on Rod, excuse me, Rod Flagway Racing, and my super hot, amazing wife for letting me run these things on Friday nights. And we'll go get them next week.
Well, there you go. At least you thank the right person, right? Well, there you are, Frank Fusilia, your second place finisher here tonight in duel number 2, and I think Evan has caught up with tonight's winner.
It was second at the start finish line, and it was second without any gas left in the tank. But nonetheless, checkered flag is going to go in favor of the Dollar General Toyota. Shane McEachin, your winner tonight in duel number 2. Shane, that's going to put you on the outside of the front row for next week's 500. First off, congratulations. I know you would have thought that I guess you would have wanted that 7 to get a penalty. He does. What did you see there at the end of this race as far as going on there with that 7 behind you, and what happened with the fuel situation?
Thank you. I knew we were going to be close on fuel, but I didn't. Once we made it to that point, I thought, well, we're good. And I just had to, didn't even really feel like I had to protect, just, not get turned. And it sputtered right there at the last minute. I saw the 7 go, and I could see room between us. The yellow line didn't cross my mind. I just tried to, get as close down as I could without touching him. And I don't know, it's a tough call there. It's not how you want to win it. You want to be, first crossing the line, but I mean, we'll take them any way we can.
That fuel situation brought up something interesting because we were taking a look at you guys. You guys came down pit road under the caution flag early. You guys were pulling away by a lot over that second group of cars. How your lead lap kind of got separated, but I mean, you really started to put it on them. They fell, I think, to 15 seconds back or so before it was all said and done. They crossed the line 16 seconds back from you guys. So, one would think that they were saving fuel. How much fuel saving, if any, were you guys doing up front? Because you guys were 2 wide, 2 rows deep for the majority of the end of that one.
Well, I mean, honestly, Rodney played it perfect. I didn't realize we were that close on fuel because, I thought I had plenty. I noticed he'd keep dropping back, and he played it perfect. Me being out front, the rule was, it's full throttle, so I can't save any, and being out front, that hurts you in the long run.
Well, it was a pretty good night out for the Friday night. Not only are you going to walk away with the max points you could get and be tied for the championship lead out of tonight with the first points earning night and double points as well, but that's 2 trips to Victory Lane, the trucks, and then as well the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series. Not a bad night out for that 28 nonetheless in both series. Kind of hard to match that up, but you guys go racing yet again next week. It's going to be round 3 of the truck series, so that series really starting to get flowing, but it's the official season opener, we'll call it, with the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series with the 500. That P2 starting spot going to give you enough to win it?
It'll be tough starting on the outside, that's for sure, but maybe we can, it's going to be a longer race, so we'll have a chance to put strategy in.
I'll tell you what, it doesn't get much better than that. You sweep the evening. Congratulations, Shane. And again, sponsors and shout-outs, as always, for the second time this evening from the virtual Gatorade Victory Lane, who makes it happen this time with the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series with that 28 Toyota.
I just want to say thank you to Rod and you guys, and also want to thank Rodney. I mean, he did help me out there. He got me into the lead. Shout out to Greg and Brandon, Frank. And once again, you guys, thank you for making that.
All right, well, Shane, you enjoy that hardware, my friend, and hopefully we'll see you back again next Friday night running just as strong. We'll see you in the 500. But that is your race winner tonight, not only in the Tight Lines 200 with the Rod Car Truck Tour, but as well your winner tonight at iSuperDuel number 2. That's going to put up on the outside of the front row. Want to see where everybody's going to be on the grid? Go to iSuperSpeedway.com after the race tonight, and you can see the entire iSuperSpeedway 500 grid where they'll stack up for 500 kilometers next week to officially get this season underway. Guys, though, an exciting night of racing and a duel number 1 and a duel number 2 that were very different from each other in both the way they raced and both the way they ended.
Oh, yeah. The way they raced, the first one, we saw a lot more aggressive drivers, a lot more guys taking chances, 3 wide racing. things like that. That bottom line really prevailing, the high side not doing anything. The second race, we actually saw the high line do something. We saw that when they stacked up 4, 5, 6 cars, that it actually worked. So just like Frank Buccelia said, you can't. You gotta want to do it. You gotta have guys that are willing to go up there, stay up there, and make it happen. And he goes, for some reason, a lot of guys like to sit and ride, and he understands that, but he likes to race. So I think we'll see that 94 up on that high side next week.
And we go into the 500, which is something really interesting, with championship points already kind of stacked up, albeit it's just going to be the results from tonight, but nonetheless, an exciting and interesting way, as we've seen in prior seasons, to get this underway. Only thing that they didn't get out of this is this win does not lock them into the chase. Win and you're in starts next week as we look forward. Starting next week, we count down 13 races to go to the iSuper Chase. Jared, on another note, we again have that doubleheader coming up next Friday night. You're going to be out there in the trucks. That's the Southern 200 at Darlington. You're going to be out there on track. Can you give us a teaser of what we expect at the track Too Tough to Tame in 1 week?
Well, hopefully it's going to be a lot cleaner than we did this week. I mean, I'm going to be trying to my damnedest to bring that tight lines Toyota to victory lane. Unfortunately for me, that's one of my better tracks, but overall, I really think we're going to see a lot of beat and bang, because remember, the outside line is favorable at that track, but also you got to think, if you get into that outside retaining wall, it's going to hurt, because those concrete barriers, they are not fun. They do not play any favorites when it comes to a truck.
And if you thought tonight was exciting, things are only going to continue to heat up as both of these championships on Friday night continue to get deeper and deeper in. The plot will thicken, and the excitement and drama only going to build upon tonight. Do want to thank everybody at iSuperSpeedway for making tonight possible. If you want more information on them, and again, to check out the full starting grid for the iSuperSpeedway 500, go to iSuperSpeedway.com. You can also follow them on Twitter at iSuperSpeedway or on Facebook at Facebook.com/iSuperSpeedway. Do want to thank the Rod Car Board of Directors, Race Director, and Chairman of the Board, Rod Flagg, Vice Chairman Frank Buccelia, the Competition Director, Josh Hainer, and all of the drivers on the Driver Council and the sponsors for tonight's race. A lot of exciting stuff coming up this week on LSRTV. The Pacific Majors 2015 Round 7 coming from Fontana. That's going to be the MAV TV 500. That's this Sunday at 9 Eastern. Then you got 9:30 Eastern, as always, on Monday nights. The Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series presented by Gary Mercer Trucking from Bristol Motor Speedway in Thunder Valley. You can get a full schedule of upcoming races online with us at livesimracing.com, or keep connected with us on social media at facebook.com/livesimracingtv. You can find post-race recaps, news, and other press, everything through our LSRTV partners. Go to Race Chaser online at racechaseronline.com, or through InRacing News at iRacing.com/iRacingNews for more information on that. A big congratulations to both of our winners tonight, not only in the duels, but as well in the Rod Car Truck Tour. Big winner tonight really goes to Shane McKeechin. Until then, though, we'll see you for the 500 weekend next Friday evening, as well as we go to the track Too Tough to Tame at Darlington for the trucks. On behalf of our LSRTV broadcast team this evening, alongside myself, Evan Pasoko, for Andy Kessler, Josh Ball, and our driver analyst tonight for the iSuperSpeedway portion of things, Jared Haggerty, thank you so much for tuning in. Our executive producer has been Laura Lawson. We will see you next Friday night. It's an iSuperSpeedway and Rod Car doubleheader, and you're only going to find it on LSRTV starting at 8 o'clock.